We're now travelling to the island of Hoy to see Dwarfy Stane, an early prototype rock-cut Neolithic tomb. As the two female bodies interred under the beds in House 7 at Skara Brae have shown, living in such close proximity to the dead has much to do with the continuation of life in the Neolithic psyche.
It's important to remember that these were fully modern humans. Their beliefs reflected an understanding of the world as they saw and experienced it.
If we look to pre-Christian African religion, ancestor worship was commonplace. The dead do not cease to exist. They act as spirit guides who are consulted for advice and preserve moral standards in a ritualised life. Australian Aboriginals believe the dead are as much part of the environment as the living and have conversations with their ancestors.
What's remarkable about the Dwarfy Stane tomb is that it was hollowed out from solid sandstone using nothing more than antler and stone tools. So let's have a look inside.
It's such a small area in which to work. Sculpting this chamber must have taken an inordinate amount of time. With the practicalities of cutting stone in this harsh climate, it was likely it was tried only a few times and found to be less than satisfactory.
Other chambered tombs on Orkney copied the layout but were constructed from stone blocks.
On South Ronaldsay is a chambered cairn, which gives us further clues about Neolithic rituals and the lives of people at that time.
The Tomb of the Eagles was built around 3000 BC. It contains stalled compartments of the type seen in the Dwarfy Stane tomb. Dividing these compartments were shelves, like in the stone dressers at Skara Brae. It also contains side cells, a feature we shall return to later. Examination of the tomb's contents revealed 16,000 assorted bones from at least 342 individuals, males and females of all ages, with human skulls lining the walls of the tomb. Analysis of the bones showed people who lived active but hard lives. They were strong and well muscled, but there was also widespread bone deformities and degenerative spine disease associated with regularly carrying heavy loads. Excavations around the tomb yielded evidence of animal sacrifice and large quantities of smashed and burnt pots, hinting at a wider ceremonial purpose for the structure. However, it is the most intriguing find that gave the tomb its name. Amongst the human bones were those of at least 8 white-tailed sea eagles, a magnificent raptor once common here in Orkney. But radiocarbon dating shows the birds were placed in the cairn 1,000 years after it was first built, thus showing that the site remained a focus of activity even when the ritual emphasis had changed. What was the significance of the eagle in this later culture? The communal piles of human bones indicate that the flesh was removed from the corpses before they were interred. Were the sea eagles part of this excarnation process? A sky funeral, similar to those still performed in Tibet, where the dead are given back to nature with the help of Eurasian griffon vultures. The eagle's tomb is not alone in containing remains of totem animals. Excavations of the Cuween hill cairn revealed 24 dog skulls along with several human skulls. The dogs may have been part of the ritual excarnation process before the human remains were interred. Alternatively, they may have been added as symbolic guardians of the house of the dead, in the same way as they would have guarded the houses of the living.
Our journey through Orkney Stone Age comes full circle, back to the Neolithic heart and the magnificent Maes Howe chambered cairn.
Dating back to 2700 BC, it is Orkney's largest chambered cairn. Estimates put the work needed to build Maes Howe at a phenomenal 100,000 man-hours. At its centre are cells of the type seen at the Eagle's Tomb. But the special feature of this tomb is its midwinter alignment. For 3 weeks surrounding the solstice, as the midwinter sun sets, its rays shine through the entrance passage, illuminating the rear wall of the chamber. In order to protect Maes Howe from erosion, visitor access to the central chamber is regulated. So we've travelled to the nearby Unstand cairn.
From the outside, the circular grassy mound of the Unstand cairn is like a smaller version of Maes Howe.
With a low and narrow entrance passage.
But inside, the tomb is of a hybrid design with 2 different elements. Typically, for Orkney stalled cairns, large slabs of flagstones divide up the main chamber. Although here is the feature I want to show you. In common with Maes Howe is a side cell, in which more skeletal remains were found. This is no coincidence, and shows the spiritual importance of natural cycles in the Neolithic consciousness. Birth, life, death, and renewal.
As our time here in Orkney nears its end, and I think about the icons of the Stone Age we have seen on our journey, I find one question begs to be answered. Why did Neolithic society invest so much time and effort into building these imposing structures? To find an answer, we must imagine what it would have been like to be alive during the period of transition from Mesolithic to Neolithic. We can do this by considering the few remaining hunter-gatherers, such as the Sam Bushmen and Hadza in Africa, still tenuously holding on to their way of life today. These indigenous people often have no written language. Knowledge such as good hunting ground and where to find seasonal food is carried in the mind and passed from the elders to younger generations. There is little sense of ownership and consequently few possessions. They never take from the land more than they need, and the proceeds of a hunt will most often be shared amongst the tribe. There is a sense of being part of nature, with a heightened awareness of the seasons and an almost instinctive ability to predict animal behaviour. By putting down roots in fixed settlements, for the first time, people were able to express their intimate connection to the natural world in the form of physical structures, such as the standing stones and tombs of Neolithic Orkney.
Over time, the initial expression was overtaken by something more akin to what we call religion, as people made pilgrimage to the stones to perform ceremonies. Farming had introduced new ideas, such as producing a surplus as a contingency but also for trade. It also introduced the idea of ownership. Together, trade and ownership amounted to the amassing of wealth, and wealth was proof of a higher social standing within the community.
As Neolithic ceremonies became more ritualised, they were used by a rising social elite to create a cohesive community and a loyal following to defend their wealth. And so the transition from hunter-gatherer was complete. The Neolithic made a seismic change to mankind. It gave us the birth of modern society.